All right, good morning. Fruitful and lots of learning. That's a high bar, Amit. All right, let's get going. Yeah. Welcome to Forex.Today. Let me remind you that trading is risky, not appropriate for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results. Please stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. Good morning. My name is Wayne. Nice to see you. Steve's right. Amit asks lots of questions. I'm a servant. I'm here to serve. Yeah, Javi says, I better have some good content. Yeah, I better. Yeah, for sure. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover some of the major assets that you probably watch. We're going to use TRADARS and Trader's Way as our resources. I'm not a servant, I am a colleague. Yeah, well, I'm here to serve you. Yeah. Yeah, and I have a service. I'm a service provider. Right? So TRADARS. Right? So anyways, all of that. So we are going to go through these assets. I've already done a lot of things over at traders.com this morning. So to prevent sort of repeating myself, what we're going to do is focus on these assets. I can change the templates and stuff. So you're like, Wayne, what the heck's going on here? I can change them. Oh, for sure. Yeah. So we're going to focus on euro dollar, WTI, Bitcoin, S&P 500, gold, and this is going to be pound yen. Pound yen. Okay? And that way we don't have a 3-hour webinar. So I'm going to test a couple of things out. Let's see. You know what? I was going to try something. I am going to try something new. But believe it or not, I just got an idea. Just like when I think you heard the brain fart. You're like, did he just brain fart? Uh-huh. Hang on. Totally just brain farted. But what page do I go to? It's this one. I was thinking about creating timestamps. So how do I do that on here? Marker. All right. So I'm going to try a couple of new things here. So if it gets all goofy and wonky, I apologize now. But I want to try some new things. So I'm going to start with some time stamping. This is going to be where we do our euro dollar. All right, now do we have sound? Sorry. I was testing this new feature here, and I've never been able to get it to work where you vote and it tallies live. And yeah, so try voting. If you're a buyer of euro dollar, hit 1. If you're neutral, hit 2. If you're a seller, hit 3. This is supposed to update, but it doesn't seem to be. But let's give it a test. I'll double check that that app is actually running. I believe it is. I'd like it to work is what I'm trying to say. So I created a new one. Yeah, and it looks like it should be working, and it's not. Hmm. I'm going to stop the poll, start the poll. I just don't think it works. Too bad. Yeah, it's not going to work. All right, so that's too bad. I really want it to work, but it's not working. All right, so we'll get rid of that. Get rid of the poll widget. Yes. All right, so anyways, now we have euro dollar timestamp. So maybe I'll create a second timestamp and say, all right, now we'll do euro dollar analysis. And then through the magic of this diversion, we will now go to here. Nice. There's our euro dollar. Now, we probably don't like this particular setup, so let's change the template to something pretty basic. Okay. If you're a bull, we're on our way to 118.5, pretty standard. Long term, okay, long term direction. Long term direction is this way. And short term direction was that way. And so the thing is, can we work our way back from 110.53 up to 118.48? That would be the plan. This is the 4-hour, obviously kicking off the 200 EMA, so it's a reset. We'll look at the daily here. I'll zoom in. I think I'll overlap this with some dailies. Well, no, let's just change the whole sucker. Let's do the confluence and then drop into a smaller time. And so we've hit the weekly target. So the swing trade from last week, remember on Thursdays at traders.com, we do swing trading. So the trade plan would have looked something like that if you're a bull. And this bottom here is a bullish bottom. This one here is a bullish bottom. This price here, this gray line at 110.53 is the best buying price you can ask for on a monthly basis. And then for the weekly, what's happened is, okay, our bottom is the central pivot point, so the projected high is the R2. So now combining this, we'll probably want to look for if bullishness to continue this way between now and next week. Okay, that would be sort of the basic operating procedure. Now we could have a blowout type week where this just gets bullish and stays bullish. It's unlikely, but it does happen. So it's improbable, but does happen. So plan A would be this congruency between tomorrow's buy zone. Tomorrow. I have to emphasize, today is Wednesday. Today's trade is over. It already happened. Today's trade plan was this zone here. Can you see that? I think you can, right? Maybe I'll use my drawing tool so you can see it better. And I'll zoom in. Okay. What's today's trade plan, Wayne? Well, it was here to here. What's the weekly trade plan? It was from here to here. So we have fulfilled the daily and the weekly. You see what I mean? We're done the daily and the weekly. And so to just continue now would be a little short-sighted. I think there's going to be a lot of profit taking on multiple time frames, but, and that is a big but, you do have permission to re-engage in here. But you better understand, okay? You must understand that it's less likely than it was before. That's all. Right? So whoever bought here, their plan was to exit here, and it looks like they did. Okay? And then whoever bought in this zone yesterday has already hit today's target. So the London boys logged in and took profit from yesterday, and they're done. So now you're like, well, I think today will be like that. Well, that would be normal, but I think because of this target being achieved and this target being achieved, I think you could have a bigger pullback before the resumption. It's possible. So go in cautiously. Okay? But don't be shocked if we have, let's say, because everyone that's already bullish took profit, we could have, a down day and then we resume the upward move. Because remember, ultimately the target is, like I said, ultimately we're trying to get to 118 and a half. So how is that going to work? Not a straight shot, right? So you get this plan, which is this week and next week, and then maybe a pullback, and then the move. Anyway. Now with that, I'm just doing price action. I'm not doing anything else, and I didn't do any fundamentals. We can look at that in the later, but I just wanted to get the technical analysis out of the way for most of you. Now bear with me. I think I'm going to have to add a microphone. I don't think can I copy microphones? Let's see if I can copy. Well, we'll try that. All right, so now let's do the S&P 500. All right, so, hey, good. We have a microphone. Good. I pasted it. Nice. So now we have a timestamp, and we are going to do the S&P 500. You guys want to tell me if you're, and you want to why don't we just do an actual poll every time? Actually, I don't mind. What is your bias today? What is your bias today? Specifically for the S&P 500, bull, neutral, and bear. Hang on. I'm doing this fast. I even misspelled neutral. Okay. So this is for specifically the S&P 500. If we can get everyone to quickly participate in the poll, it'll help you decide whether you're lined up with the market or against the market. This is a sentiment survey. This is important. Okay, come on, faster, faster, faster. Go, 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 go. Come on. Some people are shy, I guess. Really? Very simple. Okay, well, I'm going to end the poll. This shouldn't take 20 minutes to click 1, 2, or 3. So most people are bullish on this, but very closely bearish, which is interesting. This is why we need a bigger data set. But with that in mind, let's take a look and transition over and look at the S&P 500. Cool. So we have to start with the plan here. Where are we going? Okay. Before we do any analysis, where are we going? There's a couple of things going on here. This is somewhat out of position. This is referred in the training course as OOP. In that scenario, you ride the 21 on the 4 hours specifically. And now this is starting to wane. Okay. This is a monthly R1. Am I concerned about it? No. Could it act as resistance? Well, that's what the R stands for. But it shouldn't. So really what we should be doing, if the trend's going to continue, we would roll with the weekly plan. So let me drop into an hour and zoom in. Okay. But right now we don't have wonderful price action. That's for sure. Okay. But if this was going to remain bullish, here's what the plan is. Okay. This should continue acting as a bottom. If it doesn't, then we're going to back away. So this is pretty important. This is the strategic plan. And now we're waiting for technical bullishness. And, well, it doesn't exist here. Okay. So I'm not ready to be a bear, but it's not bullish in the moment. Okay. Maybe it's a profit-taking day, but it's only monthly R1. So maybe we consolidate here and then head up. Let's look at the daily, zoom in here. I mean, worst case scenario is we're coming all the way back down to the daily 21 where that will be in the future. And that would probably be closer to M2 at 58.5. I don't want to drop to 58.5. Well, we're only at 59. So it could just be consolidation for a while. I don't know. But it's too early for me to be a bear. Now, could you be a bear? Well, if you're already a bear, sure. It's not an amazing setup for you as bears, but you can say it begins with the monthly R1, and then you're selling at the weekly M3, which is the best selling pivot. And your target is down here, which is pretty close to the daily 21 anyways. So that's not the worst thing in the world, because if it dropped to here, I would buy it. It's just I'm not ready to sell it. Someone is. I wouldn't be. But if it does drop, I would be a buyer down here. I would be. We're just not ready to break 6,000. That's all. What's the big deal? Okay. Let's zoom into that smaller time frame, though, and just see where things are landing at the open here. And it's definitely in bearish mode on this small time frame. You're like, Wayne, I don't see it. Okay, let me show you. Okay, on the smaller time frame, these are daily pivots, right? So you go biased pivots and you put it into bearish mode. Shows you who's in control on this time frame, right? Okay, so we're not making higher highs and higher lows. We're making lower lows and lower highs. Okay, so what do we know? Talk to me, Goose. What do we know is factual? Okay, those that are bears, today's day trade was from here to here. Okay, so right at the Asia Open, you had a day trade opportunity as a bear. What was the target? Well, this is an aggressive entry, and this is the conservative target. You see it? It's labeled and everything. Okay, Amit? Look at that. Bearish profit target, conservative. But I can tell you the entry projects the aggressive target. And that is actually down here. And now you have a confluence of a weekly central pivot point and the daily aggression for profit. So that leaves us with, if you're going to be a bear at the New York Open, you could take it down there. And if you're a bull, you might want to look to see if it respects this zone. Do the bears actually take profit? Are there buying orders at that pivot point? Okay. Yeah. And that, so what it could look like is down at the open, up at London close. So you'd get something kind of like this. Not all of that today, of course. that's like 2 weeks of trading, but you see where I'm getting at? You have to know where you are on the map and what direction you tend to be, moving. What I mean by that is if you are a bull, okay, then you believe we are on our way here. And that belief started here. So don't get all wishy-washy. Well, what if it collapses here? Well, you'll get stopped out. God forbid for a small loss. Okay? But you got to keep your eyes on the prize. So let's say nothing happens today, and then, the PMIs take us up here the rest of the week. Yeah, well, that's what the chart says, y'all. Can it be down for a day or two, yet still up for the week, yet still up for the month? Uh-huh. Could it collapse here? Could R1 be the top? Yes. Yes, it could. Usually not. Or another way of saying it is probably not, but it could be. So you don't bet farm, but you say, okay, well, it looks bearish on the smallest time frame, but on the higher time frame, it's not bearish yet. So you wait as a bull. And what we've just talked about on the smaller time frames, the double bottom at a central pivot point, we're talking about this little thing here. So let's put it this way. As long as we're above that zone, still a bull. If it drops below that, take a pause. Take a knee, son. Okay? Cool. But I own this. I own the S&P 500. I love it. Cool. So let's move to the next. Let's do the beast. The beast. The beast. All right. So start a poll. Okay. What is your bias today? Buy, hold, or how about buy or just sell? No, no, buy. No, I like neutral because if you're not going to trade it, I want to know that. So buy, sell. All right. I need to get faster at that. It'd be great if YouTube allowed me to save it. So let me know what you're thinking on the beast here, the pound yen. I appreciate if you responded quickly so we don't have to spend too much time on the transitions. Okay. Now, I'm assuming you saw their inflation data earlier today, huh? By they, I mean Great Britain. Yeah, I would assume, right? And we should get the poll posted. Wait. On the recording, anyways. Huh. All right. Oh, and I forgot to transition. Hang on. Oh, and I forgot to timestamp. Okay, this is the pound yen, y'all. Hang on. I'm getting used to a new system. Everything's out of order too, huh? Anyways, oh look, through the magic of Hollywood, I'm on the pound yen. How does he do that? Yeah. Osamu says stock market up, yen up. Well, it depends on which stock market, right? Right? Nikkei, right? Nikkei is got its own thing going on. But anyway, so let's mark up our daily chart. Where is this going? Do you have a lot of conviction? Are you a bull or a bear? Well, on the short run, this doesn't show direction at all. The direction is side. But the fundamentals are changing and the seasonals are changing. We're getting closer to the half time. Okay? So things may be changing. Fundamentally, we had a lot of inflation out of the UK. I mean, I think it went from 2.8 to 3.5. Is that right? Okay. And TRADARS bumped up the score for pound dollar from a +4 to a +6. Well, hell's bells. Yeah. So there's a lot of fundamentals going on here. Thing is, you have to decide what you want to do. That's why I asked these people. Okay. If you decided you wanted to be a bull, this is a moderate opportunity for you to take it north. And that just gets you back to the top of the zone. But bear in mind, you're in the middle of the range in a sideways market. It's not that great. Now, you might, on a smaller time frame than daily, you might say, well, it's been trending up for over 5 days. Well, longer, right? But anyways, or it's been trending up since April. Okay, great. Well, if you're going to use this as your bottom, sure, then we're going to try to get up to here. Actually, even a little bit higher, but doubtful once you adjust for price. Now, this is the tricky. If you're using this as your bottom, then this is our, and that's our new range. So for those that are neutral, that's what you're thinking. Okay? Neutral traders. Okay, S1 to R1, we call that an inside month. Sorry, inside week. So if you're a bull, you think all that's phooey, nonsense, and you're going to take it up to the top of the range. And if you're really a bull, maybe even break the range, not this week or even next week, but soon. Okay, soon. So by July, let's say, right? All right. Now, bears, you're just taking it to the, right? For those that are neutral and bears, you're one and the same. Okay, because it's range, right? This is the trend. So even if you're a bear, all you're doing is selling it from the top of the range. Right? And for those that are neutral, you're kind of doing the same. For me, I'm not so sure. Okay, I'm probably more of a neutral here. Although as we move closer to June, I am a bear. We have to do that based on seasonality, right? I just don't have to be a bear today. So, look, if you were going to try to buy it off the daily 21, it's not a good plan because that's a trend trade. Okay, that's a trend trade plan, a trend strategy. That this is your buy zone, but your buy zone. Did I say June? May, I know June. Yeah, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, well between June and July. Yeah, I'm not sure what I said, but yeah, so coming up soon. Look, if your trade plan is based on this, you're doing a trend trade. And on a smaller time frame than daily, you probably see it as a trend. So it makes total sense that you're going to continue doing this, right? In fact, let me draw it out for you. You probably see it, the world through this lens. Let's do that. But when you back out to the daily, it's not quite as bullish as it seems on your smaller time. Okay? And in fact, it's tightening, isn't it? The noose is tight. So I'd be careful here. I'd be careful here. You could be a bull on an hourly chart, but on the daily, you might be overly aggressive. So it really comes down to what's happening right now. And here, if you're going to be a bull, that's the only thing you have. Okay, so now you can drop to a 5-minute chart and wait for bullishness to present itself, and then you take action, knowing that it really can't drop any lower than this, and you still having the right to be a bull. So on a 15-minute chart, is this bullish? No. No, it's not. Okay? But if you were a bull and you were going to trade it off that daily 21, what do you need here? Well, you know this is the daily 21. So what would your plan of attack be if you thought this could reverse and head up for the next 2 or 3 weeks? Can you afford to wait on a 5-minute chart for something like this? Okay. Well, considering it's a high risk trade, that's probably the right thing to do. See, with high interest rates in the UK, the Bank of England's not going to be able to cut interest rates, huh? What did I just say? Did I say inflation? Boy, I'm having a brain fart day. Not enough coffee, minions. If inflation in the UK is spiking, the Bank of England will not be able to cut interest rates. Okay? So I think you can afford to wait. You don't have to be overly aggressive. And jumping in right now, I think your level of aggression for what we really actually have right now would be too high. But if it started to turn north based on sort of the June plan, then you can take the shot and it's well worth the risk. Does that make sense? Can you see this? If this works, then we're in the June buy zone and our target would be the top of the range. And you should know that that's 500 pips. But would I do it lower? No, because I think the highest probability is all the way back down and maybe even beyond based on seasonality. So it's definitely be careful. You can try. I'd be conservative on the entry. All right. Do you guys want to do some oil? I forgot about the mic. Okay, I added the mic. Great. So, yeah, so what is your bias today? There is some news related to global supply. You should know that already. Yeah. And by the way, I hope you appreciate I took the pictures of, uh, you know, the images of me from 20 years ago. It was the the only time I had the only, the only nice pictures of me that would be appropriate for thumbnails like this. But they were all 20 years ago when I had chestnut hair. So now I have silver hair, gunmetal gray. So I wanted to update everything. Yeah. Yay. My oh my WTI. So let me click the magic. Let me shake the magic wand, and we can move over here. Bada bing, bada boom. Oh my goodness, my oh my WTI. All right, WTI. Okay, we hit a 4-hour top, and we have our bottom. And one of my current theories is that that's a predetermined Trump administration bottom. That's my new theory. Okay. Well, Richard, you got to be careful. You're a couple of weeks early. That might be true. But with that being in mind, Richard's saying oil should be lower. Not yet. But then what's going on today, which I think is, I don't know, I guess I shouldn't say what I think, but the rumor mill is Israel is going to stop what they're doing, which is clearing the entire Gaza Strip, which is enough for one army to do today. They're going to stop that and instead attack the nuclear infrastructure of Iran. Well, if that happens, well, then there's going to be a supply shock because of how much oil will not be on the market and oil prices go up and whatever. Um, I I don't like that type of trading. I'm skeptical of all of it. It's almost like somebody just needs oil to go up, so some fake news gets it to pop. Um, I'm a longer term bear, and so and that bearish season, right? Bearish season starts pretty soon. So let it pop, and then for me, I'd say, well, I understand what's going on in the rumor mill, but when I have evidence, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. If this turns bearish now after the spike, and I think you can see the spike data, right? You see the big spike from the news? Let me highlight that with green because it's a giant green candle. Green candle followed by a green candle. And guess what happened? Where were the sell orders? See, this is how I'm teach you to trade. I don't like the rumor mill nonsense. What I teach, if I go back to the 4-hour or even daily, is that if you were a bear using price action, this is where you would sell. So guess what? That's where the sell orders are. Of course. So we spiked. Now what? The next direction is here. And then I do believe this is a Trump supported price. I had said in January that this could drop all the way down to 40. But I'm like, well, I think what'll happen is oil drops, but we don't want it to drop too much because then the United States won't be able to produce any oil. But we need prices to come down to lower inflation so he could cut taxes and do his tariffs. But also we need to refill the strategic petroleum reserve because somebody, and I won't mention his name, emptied the strategic petroleum reserve. So anyways, we got to refill it. So what'll happen is when prices get too low to support the oil industry, we'll start buying oil. We, meaning the United States, the government. The government will put a floor. So if it drops around $55, The United States will buy it up, pour it into the cave. Bloop, 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 bloop. And they've already negotiated this with Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia, you're like, well, they'll hate the low oil prices. Well, you know what? If it increases GDP in the United States, lowers inflation in the United States, allows the Fed to cut interest rates in the United States, they're okay, because Saudi oil costs $13 a barrel, including the barrel. So they're fine at 55 bucks. What they don't want is $80 barrel oil. And you're like, but they're making way more money. Yes, but then inflation spikes, interest rates go up, the economy slows down, and then there's less demand. So they'd rather have killer demand at 55 than slowing demand at 80. They're actually more sustainable at 55. And they know the American companies are basically at break even. Yeah. So in a year or two, then we stabilize at 65, not 55. So American companies are profitable. Saudi Arabia is happy. So on and so forth. So that's what I'm dealing with, where I have a bias here. My bias is somewhere around June. And let me mark June 1st for you. You ready? This is June 1st. The closer we approach this, the more likely I think down. So now you have to have a window. Let's say 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after. I want to get bearish. I used to think 40. Now I'm updating my outlook to 55, maybe 50. But the thing is, 55 might be break even and 50 might be loss. What's the difference? The United States stops drilling, and they do it fast. And then oil prices spike up, inflation spikes up, the Fed can't cut. So, yeah, I think there's a White House put. There's a Trump put. Why don't we write that down? You guys following me, or is this just me in the middle of a babble fest? Yep. It's quite esoteric, of course. But what I'm trying to say is, today there's a rumor. I don't like rumors. So therefore, I could be on a 5-minute chart looking for reasons to sell. And I can sell for the next 4 months. All at once, or just from the top of the market to the bottom of the market, top of the market to the bottom of the market, top of the market. Yeah. JGB's like, all good. Well, except Canada needs the money. Yeah. Oh, did you subscribe? How come we didn't get new subscribers today? Huh? Anybody going to subscribe? Sell oil somewhere else. Well, it is a global price, though. oil is a global price. So, for example, Saudi Arabia decides they want to drop oil to $30 a barrel and put American frackers out of business. Well, hell's bells. Saudi Arabia could do it. And lower the price of American oil? Uh-huh. Now, you can't do it with natural gas. So in the oil course, we go over that. The difference between the oil market and the natural gas, because it's all about the energy complex. So there's the sellers are up here, the buyers are down here, and now you have to decide what you want to do. And really, you should be thinking about not just today, but really, you should be thinking about tomorrow. Oops. Oops. Okay, we still have to do Bitcoin and gold. Are you guys still with me? All right. So, how do you feel about Bitcoin? Please answer the poll. What is your bias today? Bullish, bearish, or neutral? Okay. Hopefully, you like this. I'll get better at the transitions, but this idea, I want to know what you think, and then I'll share what I see, not what I think, but what the charts talk about. And we have a lot of fundamentals, so I need to figure out how to do the fundamentals as well on this kind of stuff. But at least this transition, we can say, hey, we're going to do Bitcoin now. What do you think? And then I'll go through the chart. But then on the recording, I should be able to timestamp everything, I think, so that when you're watching the recording, you can just jump to Bitcoin, if that's all you care about. But I'm going to need some thumbs up. Okay, let's see. Again, most people don't vote. What's wrong? Are you embarrassed? Nobody can see what you voted for. Like 2/3 of people are just not voting. Why? Don't be a lurker. Come on, click the button. Are you a bull? A bear? Neutral? If you're like, I don't trade crypto, then click neutral. Do something. You don't just stand there and stare. Huh? Participation. This is not TV. This is real. We're all trying to make decisions. And the more you participate, the more that we can get a real idea about what the retail market thinks about Bitcoin today. The more people participate, the more helpful it is to all people. You have to understand, like, this could be incredibly important. Okay, well, here we go. Bada bing, bada boom. Ciao. 70% are bullish, 20% are neutral. All right, let's change from my scalping template to confluence. Okay. Where are we going? This is an OOP, out of position trade. Again, this language is right out of the swing trading course. Okay. And that's the projected high. So if I were a bull, I would suggest that we're not likely to get higher than 109.86. We might be able to get to 110 and then oot, as they say in Canada. That's what it says. It's not my opinion. If this is the bottom of the month, then that is the projected high. Now, there is an aggressive high, but I'm not ready to deal with that at the moment. So is there a scenario in which this can go higher? Yes, but typically we need something fundamentally unusual. And I don't think we're quite there yet, but maybe we are, but I don't have that kind of evidence yet. So I'm trying to stay away from opinion. Like, it doesn't help me when someone says, "Oh my God, Bitcoin's going to 200,000." Well, technically, this is the highest probability target based on technical analysis. On the shorter time frame, that allows us to buy a dip, take it up, buy a dip, and out. So let me zoom in now onto that shorter time frame and try to thread the needle. Okay. Okay, this is our zone right now. And it's the right time of day. We're on a roll reversal, so I could even extend this further out. So plan A for you bulls. Plan B for you bulls. And by that, I just mean for today. Okay, great. So now what do? You drop into a Cinco de Mayo because the 5-minute chart is always a party, and you look for bullishness. Do you buy now? Do you buy now? Do you buy now? Do you buy now? This is all you're doing. What if it falls? Don't buy it. Your job now, if you are a bull, is to, around this market open, look for it to turn bullish, and then be long the rest of the day, the rest of the week, the rest of the month, maybe all of next month. Or get knocked out at break even. Or at least day trade it. Okay? You want to see how to day trade it? Okay. We're bulls, right? We're bulls. Check this out. You ready? Let's go here. We are in the zone. This is a magical zone that uses 75 different algorithms to design an artificial intelligence-based neural network that predicts this This just tells you New York is opening. It's a clock. It's a clock, y'all. All right. So if you want to buy Bitcoin, you can sit here and say, okay, we're in the buy zone on the daily. I showed you. This is the plan A. And then below us is plan B somewhere, right? Okay, you following me? So you're a bull. Now, if you're a bear, don't worry about it. If you're neutral, you're not doing anything anyway, so don't worry about it. So I'm speaking to the 70%. And let me ask you, is it bullish now? No. Is it bullish now? No. How about now? No. So now we just sit here and you just wait. Okay. Let's say it hits this bottom again. Good. Could you buy it down here? You could. What about, could you buy it here or here? Yeah, you could. Could you buy it here? Yeah, you could. At some point, you need to make a decision. But you're not selling under any circumstance if you're a bull. So you can wait for the higher high. You can wait for the bottom. You can wait for the bottom and then a mini higher high, higher low. Dude, you can wait for the 2155 cross. But at least you know what your intention is. And now you sit and you wait. Is it bullish now? No. And this is it. This is your morning. This is your job. Huh? You're a crypto miner. You're going to mine some Bitcoin. Like, just every morning, walking into the cave with your pickaxe and your shovel and your bucket, chipping away. Okay, is it bullish now? No. This is cool, right? Is it bullish now? No. Do you want to take the 5A cross up? You could. Especially if it kicked off that bottom, plan A. Okay. So what if it hits plan A and then a 5A cross up? Can you take the shot? Yeah. Is it the only way? No. Should you wait for a 2155 cross with a higher high? Yeah, like you could just wait here and catch it here. Or you could catch it here. There's really just plan A and plan B for plan A. Plan A point 1, plan A point 2. And now you sit and you wait. You've set up the ambush. You've taken the high ground. You've set up crossfire positions. You've laid out claymores. And now you sit tight and you wait. What do you think? How am I doing? Do we still have the new guys? Two people said, well, this better be good. I love it. Huh? This better be good. Right, Amit? Amit said, this better be good. I'm like, why? Because you spent so much money to watch this free live stream? This better be good. Well, I know your time's valuable, right? Yeah, for sure. It is an investment. Yeah. All right, so let's do one more. Okay, you ready? Bada bing, bada boom. All right. I forgot about the microphone. Oh, man, I was telling so many funny things. Oh, my goodness. All right. So, anyway, I got all this set up. All right. So, looks like I got the microphone added to all the transitions, which is good. I need to copy the live screen. Duplicate. I have to copy this. Hang on. Duplicate. Cool. And then put it back up. All right. So now we got a mic. So let's do it all over again. XAU, what is your bias today? We currently have 24 votes. Can we get some more people? Too late. Slow as molasses on a cold Georgia morning. We can't wait. We're not going to wait for you. All right, so gold. We're going to end our day with gold here. Let's take a look. 75% are, right? 75% are bullish. So we'll deal with that. Oh, the swing trading group? Everybody at TRADARS has the swing trading group. Everybody has it. Every member. It's included. Right now, there's only one membership level. You subscribe, you get all the performance coaching. We had 6 sessions yesterday alone. But you get all the analytical tools on our platform, fundamentals, technicals, and sentiment. It's everything all in one. Now, I shouldn't say everything. It's everything but the prop fund. Now, the cool thing with the prop fund is you upgrade, but then with the upgrade, you get a rebate so that even though it costs more, it might end up being cheaper. I know it's complicated. All right. So here we are on our guild. Okay. What is our target? Our target for the week is 33.73. All right. So we're using a different tool here. I call it the bands, the Lucas bands, Lucas ribbons. So the target is this. This is where we're going by the end of the week. So somewhere between where we are now and the monthly central, which tells us we're going somewhere else. Let me back that up. Let me back that truck up. All right. If the bottom is true, see, we don't know the future. So let me reemphasize that professionals plan their trades in advance. Okay. Where would institutional bears sell? Right here. This is the best selling pivot there is. Where would institutional bulls buy? Right here. This is the best institutional buying pivot. That's in the training course. That's in my book. Like it goes back, right? 20 years, this knowledge. Well, 18 years. 18 years ago is when I started teaching this. This is where institutional buyers buy. This is where institutional sellers sell. Okay? Cool. So where are we going? I don't know. I don't know where this is going. But I can tell you bulls bought and bears sold. So this is now your bias. So the weekly bias is back up to the monthly sell zone and then down. But let's just pretend the bulls are going to win. Let's say inflation doesn't go anywhere, but up. Let's say inflation doesn't fall further. Okay, that could be a theory. Cool. So inflation is going to be persistent based on our bottom. That's the projected high. What do I mean by projected? The implied high, implied volatility. Let's do another way. Implied. Okay, a 618 predicts a 1382. Oh, it's the same. That's once again out of the training course from 18 to 20 years ago. A 382 predicts a 618 predicts a 1382. The M2 predicts the M4. So I know exactly what bulls are thinking. There's no doubt in my mind, even if I'm wrong, there's no doubt that I believe what I believe. I believe anyone that took those trades is thinking that. What I don't know is how many bears there are. So somebody is thinking this. What I don't know is the percentage. Oops. Oh, I did that one already. Well, let me just put I did linear. Didn't get better. All right. So somebody thinks this. You see what I mean? I know they're there. You know how I know they're there? Because if I was a bear, they sold at exactly the price I would sell. If I was a bear, that's it. That's the best one. So funny. I keep clicking circle and it keeps going square. So what are these guys thinking? They're thinking we're going down here. Are they right? They might be. So guess what? We're in the zone where they might want to start taking this down. Okay? And so what we're doing here is calculating the slope of the mean and the standard deviation, and then doing linear projections. Now, the TRADARS platform does that automatically, so you don't have to draw all this manually. Because you're like, I don't know how to do any of this. Okay, that's fine. Don't worry about it. We automate that process, but you must understand I don't think it's about being right and being wrong, because we can have different experiences, we could have different opinions, we can look at different data sets, we could have different time frames. But you need to know where bulls and bears buy and sell. So if you were a bear, just think of it that way. Don't even think about if that's right or wrong. If you excuse me, if you were a bear, is this an area of interest for you? An AO, an area of opportunity? If this on a smaller time frame turned bearish, could you sell it? The answer to that is yes. So what we don't know is, are we going to end the month down here or up here? Yeah, well, that's the job, isn't it? But I'd be careful accumulating more gold positions right in the face of a bear. So it could be dangerous, but you should know what you intend. So how do you do that? How do you set your bias? Does anybody know how to do that? Well, you just look at dozens of variables and make a decision. You're like, wait, it's just that easy. So you're like, Wayne, what do you think about gold? Oh, what do I think about gold? Let me show you what I think about gold. That's it. It's a lot less bullish today than it was yesterday. Yeah. Huh. In fact, it dropped by 2. So it could be transitioning from bullishness to bearishness. Well, how would I know that? Well, let's look at the history of gold. Okay. We were very bullish on gold, and then we cooled off. And as of May 12th, we have been less and less bullish. In fact, since the 16th, we're actually a little bit bearish. Not enough to sell, but definitely, even though the price is rallying, we're not very interested. Cool. That's the fact, Jack. So now you can say, well, what about technically? What's going on technically with gold? Okay. Up channel, down move. 30-minute bullish threat. That's it. It's been bullish on the 30-minute. Okay, you see that? There's no pattern on the 15. There's no pattern on the hour. There's no pattern on the 4-hour. And there's no pattern on the daily. You're like, what do you mean? There's all kinds of patterns. Not the reliable, repeatable patterns that are either trending or reversing. So technically, this is more likely, okay, let's say most likely to drop and then rise. Now, if you were more of a bear, because you see that we've gone from bullish to neutral to maybe bearish in the future, what you're looking for with TRADARS is to say, okay, show me all instances of potential changes of direction. And for that, you would say, well, on the 30-minute chart, wouldn't it be cool if it actually had maybe a Gartley pattern that suggested this? Or you waited for it to do that, and then you waited for TRADARS to tell you that it's not channel up, but channel down. And you believe that because you're like, well, fundamentally, that makes a ton of sense. And imagine at that time, gold was bearish, according to our macroeconomic analysis. And then technically, it's no longer bullish, but now technically bearish. Now your fundamentals have lined up and all of that kind of stuff. So that's it. we're done. Thank you for your patience today as I get playing around with sort of our process. I think I'll get faster and faster over time. I'd like to thank you for participating in the polls. I think it's very helpful information to know what the rest of the market is thinking. If you are new, please subscribe. And if you like what we do, maybe it looks easy, but it's because we've already spent an hour doing our fundamentals. So if you go to your charts looking for something to do, you're going to find something to do, even if it's dumb. Makes no sense. So with TRADARS, every single trade you make will be logical and intelligent based on quantitative data, on sentiment, fundamentals, and technicals. But don't forget about our performance coaching, which we do over and 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 over. So peace on earth, may the pips be with you, may your profits be above average. Oh, and by the way, if you like the charting package, okay, I'm using Trader's Way. If you like all my templates and stuff like that, I'm going to give them to you when you open an account. And you're going to get a cash rebate. Every trade you make, you're going to get a little bit of cash put back into your account. Real cash that you could withdraw. Real money. Not a credit, real money. So now, every trade you make is a little bit cheaper. Why? Because I love you. You're my sweet baby. Peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May our profit